So, everyone, this is the research method in education midterm notes made on 25th October 2025. Starting from the introduction to educational research. Educational research is the process of studying education, such as teaching, learning, schools, and students, in a careful and organized way. Its main goal is to find solutions to educational problems, improve teaching methods, and make learning better for everyone. The scientific method, steps, and purpose. The scientific method is systematic way to find answers to questions through observation and experimentation. It helps to make research more accurate and reliable. There are 7 steps. Step number 1, identify a problem or question. Step 2, review what others have already found. Step 3, form a hypothesis, a possible answer. 4, collect data through experiments or observation. 5. Analyze the data. 6. Draw conclusions. And 7. Share the results. The purpose is to find facts and reach logical evidence based conclusion. So this is the scientific method and its purpose. Sources of knowledge. There are different ways. Sources of knowledge. There are different ways people gain knowledge. Here we have 4 sources of knowledge. Number 1, experience, learning from personal experiences or practice. Number 2, authority, learning from experts, teacher or books. Number 3, inductive reasoning, moving from specific example to general ideas. For example, seeing many students learn better with visuals. Conclusion, or we conclude that visual helps learning. Deductive reasoning, moving from general rule to specific case. For example, all students need motivation, so we decide that this student also needs motivation. So this is the sources of knowledge: experience, authority, inductive reasoning, and deductive reasoning. Number 4, limitations of the scientific method. The scientific method has some limits. Human behavior is complex and not always predictable. Something in education cannot be measured exactly, like emotions or creativity. Number 3 is researchers may have bias. Number 4, ethical limits. You can't experiment freely on students. Number 5, results might not apply to every situation or school. So these are the limitation of scientific methods. Number 5, application of the scientific method in education. Using the scientific method in education means applying its steps to study and solve problems in teaching and learning. 1. Selection and definition of a problem. Choose clear, specific problems to study. For example, does group study improve exam performance? 6.2. Execution of research procedure. Plan and carry out the research. Decide who to study, what tool to use, for example, survey, test, etc., and collect data. Analysis of data. Examine the information gathered using statistics or patterns to find meaning. Drawing and stating conclusions. Summarizing what you found and say whether your hypothesis was right or wrong, suggest improvement or new ideas. So these were the applications of the scientific methods in education. Number 7, different approaches to educational research. There are several ways to study education. 1. Quantitative approach. Focus on numbers and measurements. Number 2. Qualitative approach. Focus on experience, opinions, and meanings. Number 3. Mixed methods. Combine both quantitative and qualitative data for a fuller picture. So these were the three different approaches of educational research. Number 8, quantitative research, based on numbers, statistics, and measurements, tries to find cause and effect relationships. For example, testing if new teaching method improves score using test results. Methods like surveys, experiments, tests. Number 9, qualitative research, based on understanding people's thought, feeling, and experiences. Focuses on why and how things happen. For example, interviewing teachers about their classroom challenges. Methods, interview, observation, case studies. So, this is a qualitative research. Now, the next is mixed method research. Combine quantitative numbers and qualitative descriptions research. For example, collecting test scores, quantitative, and student interviews, qualitative, to understand both results and experiences. It gives a more complete understanding of educational problems. Number 11, characteristics of quantitative and qualitative research approaches. Both types of research have unique features. Quantitative research use numbers and statistics. Objective researchers neutral, stay neutral, test hypotheses. Data collected through surveys, experiments, or tests. Results are measurable and can be compared. Focuses on cause and effect relationships. Qualitative research use words, feelings, and observations. Subjective researcher interacts with participants, explores ideas and meanings. Data collected through interviews, observation, and open ended questions. Focuses on depth and understanding. Results are descriptive and detailed. 6 steps in the process of research. These steps apply to both quantitative and qualitative research. 1. Identifying a research problem. Find a clear problem or question to study. For example, how does homework affect student motivation? Reviewing a literature. Read what other researchers have said about this topic. Specifying a purpose. Write the purpose or hypothesis. What you expect to find. Number 4, collecting data. Gathering information using methods like surveys, interviews, or tests. Number 5, analyzing and interpreting data. Examine examine the data to find patterns or results. Reporting and evaluating research. Present results in report or presentation and discuss their importance. So these were the 6 steps in the process of research. Number 12, characteristics of quantitative and qualitative research. Summary table. Nature. Quantitative is objective and numeric nature, and qualitative is subjective and descriptive nature. Purpose. Quantitative test theory measure variables, while the purpose of qualitative is to explore ideas, understand meanings. Data type. In quantitative, numbers, statistics, and data type in qualitative is words and observations. Tools. In quantitative, surveys, tests, experiments, and tools in qualitative are interviews, focus group. Analysis. In quantitative, statistical method, and in qualitative is thematic or content analysis. Outcome. In quantitative, general conclusions, and outcomes in qualitative are deep understanding. So these are the characteristics of quantitative and qualitative research. Summary table. Number 9, classification of research by design. Research design is the overall plan for collecting and analyzing data. It is usually divided into quantitative, qualitative, and mixed method designs. Quantitative approaches. Survey research. Use questionnaires or interviews. collects data from large number of people. Example, asking students about study habits. Now next is correlation research. Studies the relationship between two variables. Example, relationship between study time and exam scores. Does not prove cause and effect. Causal, causal comparative research. Compare two or more group to find differences. Example, comparing achievement of boys versus girls. Cause is not controlled, it is already exists. Experimental research. Test cause and effect relationships. Researcher controls variables. For example, testing new teaching method by dividing students into experimental and control groups. Single subject research focus on one individual or small group, often used in special education or behavior studies. Repeatedly observe how changes affect one person. Qualitative research approaches. Narrative research focuses on people's life stories and experiences. Example, studying the story of teacher's career journey. Ethnographic research studies a group's culture or way of life by observing them. For example, researching classroom culture in a rural school. Cause study research studies one case it's a case study research. Study one case deeply, one person, class, or school. Example, a detailed study of one student's learning challenges. Classification of research by purpose. 1. Basic purpose. Basic research aims to expand knowledge, the theory, not focused on solving immediate problems. Example, studying how memory works. Applied research solve real world problems. For example, testing new teaching strategies in schools. Evaluation research judges judge the effectiveness of a program or policy. Example, evaluating new curriculum success. Research and development R&D aim to create and test new products, materials, or tools. Example, developing a new educational app. Action research done by teachers or practitioners to improve their own work. Example, a teacher trying new methods to improve classroom discipline. Types of correlation. Positive correlation. When one variable increases, the other also increases. Example, more study time, higher grades. So, this is a positive correlation. When one variable increases and the other decreases, it's called negative correlation. For example, more absences, lower grades. So, absences are higher, grades are lower. So, one variable is um, increasing and the other variable is decreasing. So, this is a negative correlation. Zero correlation. No relationship between the two variables. Both variables are at the same position. They are not change after the time. So they are zero correlation. Example, shoe size and intelligence. Inductive and deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning start from specific observation and move to general conclusion. For example, you observe that several students learn better with visuals. You conclude that visuals improve learning. Used more in qualitative research. Inductive reasoning mostly used in qualitative research because it builds theories from observation. Deductive reasoning start from general rule or theory and test it with specific data. For example, you believe that motivation improves grades. You test it with a survey or experiment. Used more in quantitative research. So, deductive reasoning is mostly used in quantitative research because it tests existing theories. Basic of experimental research. Experimental research is used to test cause and effect relationship between variables. It involves Creating two or more groups, treatment and control groups. Giving the treatment to one group, which is treatment group. Comparing result to see if the treatment caused any changes. Cause and effect relationship. Cause, the thing that brings changes. Independent variable is basically the cause. Effect, the result or outcome, dependent variable. So the dependent variable is the effect. Example, if we change the teaching method, cause, it may affect test scores. So teaching method here is the cause and test score is the effect. So when we change the teaching method, it may affect the test scores. Dependent and independent variables. Independent variable IV. The factor the researcher changes or controls. For example, type of teaching method. Dependent variable DV. The factor being measured. The outcome. Example, student test scores. Tip. Independent is equal to cause and dependent is equal to effect. Variable versus constructs. A variable is something that can be measured, like age, marks, attendance. A construct is an idea or concept that cannot be measured directly, like motivation, creativity, or anxiety. Research works best when constructs are turned into measurable variables using scales or indicators. Treatment and control group. Treatment group, the group that receive the new method, program, or change the independent variable. Example, students who are taught using new teaching methods, they are the treatment group. Control group, the group that does not receive the treatment. They continue under normal conditions. For example, students start with regular method. They are control group. Purpose to compare results and see if the treatment caused a different cause and effect type of thing that will be judged here in the experimental method. Manipulation of independent variable. Manipulation means researcher changes the independent variable on purpose. For example, giving one group a new teaching method and keeping the other with the old method. This helps to find out if the change affects the dependent variable, the result. What is treatment? The treatment is a special condition or program the researcher applies to the treatment group. For example, the new teaching strategy being tested. What is control? Control means keeping all other factors constant, so only the independent variable changes. This ensures that any difference found is because of the treatment, not something else. Number 10 is research possible without hypothesis? Yes, it can be, especially in qualitative research where researchers explore and discover ideas without a set prediction. Built in quantitative research, a hypothesis is usually needed because it guides testing and analysis. A hypothesis makes research clearer, focused, and easier to test, but it is not always necessary, especially for exploratory studies. Randomization. Randomization means assigning participants to group by chance. This helps ensure groups are equal and that the results are fair and unbiased. Example, using a random number generator to decide who goes in the treatment or control group. So, the example of randomization is I have a 30 students in a class, so I want to test any treatment on it. So, I make two groups of 15 each students in each group and 15 in other groups. So, one is control and one is treatment group. So, this is a method that I separate these 30 students in 15 15. So, this is a randomization. True experimental design. A true experiment is the strongest type of experiment. It includes three main conditions. One, randomization. Participants are randomly assigned to groups. Number two, control group. One group does not receive the treatment, which is control group. And third is manipulation. The independent variable is intentionally changed. When these three are present, we can say the experiment is true experimental research. What three things are? Randomization 1, control group 2, and manipulation is third. So these three things make true experimental research. Condition of experimental research. So these are the five conditions. To make experiment research valid, it must include: number 1, at least two groups, treatment and control; number 2, manipulation of the independent variable; number 3, control of outside factors; number 4, random assignments of participants; number 5, measurement of the dependent variable, the effect. Equating the groups. Groups must be similar or equal before the experiment starts in age, ability, background, etc. This ensures that any changes seen later is because of the treatment, not because of one group was better to begin with. So this is a summary concept: independent variable meaning cause changed by researcher. Example: teaching method. Dependent variable mean effect, outcome. For example, test scores. Treatment group, the group that gets new method. For example, experimental class. Control group meaning stays the same. Example, regular class. Randomization, assigning group by chance. For example, lottery system. Like in lottery, there is a random person who consider the winner. They just decide through randomization. And the next is true experiment. Has randomization, control, manipulation. Has randomization, control, and manipulation. For example, lab experiment. Hypothesis, prediction about results. For example, new method will improve scores. So these are the notes. Thank you so much for listening and watching.